Hello everyone, welcome back to Steezcast. This was episode 4. We are psyched to be back with you. We
took a little time to make.
It's a little bit of a detour. As you can see, our setup is a little different.
Yep. Took some notes on some other podcasts. Figured this might.
And just as a disclaimer, we are all fully vaccinated as well.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
So the inside is not a problem.
Yep. Yes.
I have my Excelsior pass if needed.
To demonstrate
to demonstrate my vaccination.
I mean, mine's downstairs. I could go get it.
I don't have it with me.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Right. So we're gonna get right into it. Start with our minute segments as we usually do. So without further ado, first slated is Chuck Wynn. Take us away.
All right. So Ohio started a new program named Vax a Million, where they are promising that if you get a vaccine, you will then be put in a lottery to potentially win $1 million. So money is definitely one of the only things to get people to do something.
It's only one person wins $1 million.
Only one person, but I think they're gonna do multiple.
That's like a free entry.
Yeah, it's a free entry, so you might as well do it.
Is it the same thing as New York? Because I saw New York was you get a $20.
I saw you get a burger.
You have Krispy Kreme. You can get some Krispy Kreme if you want.
Is that what it is?
Well, that's like Krispy Kreme.
There's a graduation thing with the class of 2021 where if you can.
But no, that's also for vaccines.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Like you get a free vaccine, free. No, you get a free vaccine.
Get a free donut.
No, but then they're also planning on doing it for 12-year-olds to 17-year-olds, giving it scholarships, and overall it helped vaccinations go up 30%. So. Yep.
We take those.
Yeah.
That's your minute?
Yep.
I'm going to go next.
Jonah, ready, set, go.
Yeah, so Toronto Maple Leafs captain John Tavares was hospitalized Thursday night after taking a knee to the chin from Montreal Canadiens' Corey Perry. This is in the playoff game between the Maple Leafs and the Canadiens, which the NHL playoffs have been going on for some time. Tavares had to be stretchered off the ice, although he gave a thumbs up to spectators as he left as a sign that he was not horribly injured. He was admitted to the hospital that night, but discharged the next morning, and it's been confirmed since then that he has a concussion.
So how does one get kneed in the chin in a hockey game?
So right, that's the thing. He got checked to the floor, and this guy Corey Perry tried to avoid the collision because they've played together on Team Canada and hockey games. They're like decent friends. So he tried to avoid the collision by jumping over him, but he caught him with his knee in the chin.
Yeah. How'd the face look?
I thought it was bloody.
Yeah,
it's bloody.
Right. But it's hockey, so what do you?
They can take it.
Yeah,
they have like no teeth.
So, but he's been discharged from the hospital. He just a concussion, but it's a big blow for the Maple Leafs, and they lost the game, so that sucks.
Yeah. So all in all, bad.
Yeah.
For them.
All right, when's up?
So the timer. So I want to talk for a second. Marvel recently released their new slate for Phase 4, so there's a bunch of different news about new trailers and new movies coming out. So in the next couple of weeks, we've got Loki dropping every Wednesday for, I think, 6 episodes.
So excited for that.
I'm really excited for that. The trailers look awesome.
Yep.
Also, further down the line this year, Black Widow's coming out at, again, an unspecified time because they keep on moving back the date. The Eternals, which is coming out in November, just dropped its newest trailer. And it's also directed by the person who directed Nomadland, which won like basically every Oscar this year.
Did you watch it?
It did look very odd.
It was
Spider-Man No Way Home drops this December, and then looking further into the future, we have to look forward to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which the trailer dropped for. Looks awesome. Venom 2 is coming out soon. That's not technically Marvel, but it's not Phase 4, but it's still. Then you also have Doctor Strange 2, which will tie into WandaVision. Black Panther 2, which just got its name forever. Wakanda Forever. Wait a second. No, I'm going to list the rest.
Before we go over, though,
Thor, Love and Thunder, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel are also coming out.
Do we know how they're doing Black Panther without
So it's funny because there's an interview with do you remember the guy from Black Panther, the guy who plays Frodo in Lord of the Rings, Martin Freeman?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he, in an interview, he said it's a very odd movie because it's trying so hard to honor Chadwick Boseman's legacy.
Now that you've gotten half a minute over.
Yeah, but it's Marvel.
But I asked him,
we all.
I also asked him a question, so
Yeah.
All right, Ben.
Okay, my segment is NBA playoffs. To update on the segment I did on our last episode, which
and the one that you did before that.
And before that as well. So
it's a recurring theme. It's fine.
It's a recurring theme. The Grizzlies got
Sue Shoops.
What? Yeah. Sue Shoops. Collaboration coming soon. The Grizzlies got themselves in the playoffs, and by beating the Warriors, and they won Game 1 against the Jazz, who didn't have Donovan Mitchell, as our Jazz fan can tell you all about.
Donnie is apparently very mad at the Utah.
No, I'm sure he's mad, but he also lost. The Bucks beat the Heat. I don't know.
Did he lose or did his team lose?
His team lost, but it's his fault he's not out there. And the Bucks lost game winner by Chris Middleton, really good shot, and the Lakers lost.
Good description.
Yeah, it was a really cool
It
shot.
was a really good shot.
Do you not agree?
No, I
the
didn't agree.
The Lakers lost to the Suns, and the Lakers have some actual questions of whether or not they are good or not. We will see whether or not they're able to.
If LeBron could stop flopping.
If LeBron would stop flopping.
Yes.
As a really
Did you see that stat of like
the time on the
Kevin,
ground?
The
Kevin
time,
Pillar
yeah.
spent like 40 seconds on the
Yo,
ground.
and
Joe
he did it
Burrow spent
again.
78
And
seconds.
he did it again with that ridiculous shoulder
Yeah,
injury.
yeah, yeah.
Wait,
As much as I love
So
LeBron,
Joe Burrow spent 78 seconds
tore
on the ground when he
ACL,
tore his ACL,
meniscus.
and LeBron James spent 80 seconds on the ground after
Poked in the eye.
touched in the eye.
And also, there's that
Get outta
ridiculous
here.
one in the game the other day where he just like grabs his shoulder.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no, it was
nothing
like
happened.
No, as much as I love LeBron, he's making it difficult
Yes.
to be a LeBron fan.
That is so.
Minute segment's done.
Minute
now
segment.
we're on to full segments.
Minute segments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
shorter
given we're at
segment.
6 minutes 30 seconds.
So Chuck,
After 4
tell us about the new Apple chip, please.
All right.
More editions of Charlie Wind explaining science.
I love.
Especially when he explains science. That's the
Science
best.
is the best.
Kanye segments a little tougher to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is bizarre.
His segments are better when he talks about things that he doesn't know about than he does when he talks about things he does.
But when I don't know about it, I'm forced to do research.
Exactly.
Which I have been doing. No, I actually have.
The hours log is very clear about that.
I actually have. I have such good notes for this. I really do.
I
Yeah.
can confirm. We heard a lot of YouTube videos.
I have
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
YouTube
really
videos.
annoying.
What's that dude? He's like Browley. He's the
No, period.
go-to.
Yeah, no, I know what you're
Apple
talking
dude.
about.
Oh yeah,
He's really good
I
at
know
this stuff.
But anyway, please.
All right.
Continue.
So essentially, the big news story as of
Essentially.
recent was that Apple is releasing a new iMac, which is their desktop computer. But I think like what I want to talk about more is their new M1 chip that they're going to be using, which they have used before in laptops that they've already released. But
So this might be
why
a
is-
really dumb question. Like, what is a chip? Computer
think-
chip, what does it
No,
do?
I was gonna ask the exact same
like
question. to be
Lay's,
completely-
Doritos.
yeah,
Well,
exactly. That's what so essentially, like, I really was about to say essentially again.
So how good does it taste?
Well, my favorite is
Is it-
Doritos.
Yeah.
That is probably M1. But so the M1 chip, in Apple's case, is a combination of a CPU, GPU, RAM.
Again, I don't know what
CPU,
No,
those
start
are.
Start around these words.
Steps
It's
back.
just
what
like
they
blockchain.
do, yeah. So
It's a
it's
blockchain.
decentralized.
Go back to
Um,
the very beginning. Like,
Okay,
what's
so
happening?
CPU, it basically just gives all the instructions for the computer to do. Like
So it's like
runs
the
all-
central brain.
It's like the central brain of a computer. Then you have a
Central
GPU.
So it is centralized.
Central
It is
processing
centralized.
unit.
It's not.
It's
So it's
very
not
different.
decentralized. It is
Okay.
centralized. Then you have like a
Explain it to me in
GPU
crypto
part,
terms.
which is. What'd you say?
Explain it to me in crypto terms.
In reference to
Still my
blockchain,
time.
how does a chip work?
Well, alright, we're just gonna ignore this because it's making me confused. So GPU, which is also part of the.
Explain it to me in terms of where
Oh
it
my
is from
gosh!
Mickey
Oh my gosh!
DeCatos.
Oh my gosh! It's so long. Alright.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back.
Yeah, jeez. Alright, so.
This is what you clicked on. Like you waited for this.
Oh man.
Alright. First
So
of
then
all,
you have a-
CPU is central processing.
Central
unit.
processing.
What is GPU?
GPU, that's graphics. So
Graphic
like all the
processing.
graphic
Okay.
processing. So like all of like the different like.
Right.
Oh, I have like a video playing. Oh.
Is it a video about the M1 chip?
No. It was about the vaccines.
Oh yeah, about the segment that you just did.
So, and then another main part of the M1 chip is the Neural engine, which is kind of unique to Apple that operates like machine learning. So, like that's like.
Okay, so how does that actually like factor into like laptop usage? Like, what will I see that's different?
Well, since specifically with Apple, since all of the different GPU, CPU, Neural engine, and RAM is so tightly knit, it increases the speed of the computer because it could communicate much better than an Intel chip where it isn't as efficient. This chip
Just because it's all made by Apple?
Yeah, well, I could talk about that later, but that's one of Apple's main advantages is they have control over their hardware as well as the chips, the software, so they can combine it to like make it more efficient, right?
Just so it's more compatible.
Yeah, they know their hardware, they know their software, they don't
sense.
have to use an Intel chip from somewhere else.
So like the machine learning thing you mentioned, does that like why is that important? Does that help with like when you're trying to search stuff and
so your computer learns stuff?
It does. It's
so it just operates faster. It'll learn your trends or something like that.
What I've read is the neural engine has the ability to. You love when I read facts from my computer, don't you? 11 trillion operations per second, which is absurd.
I have no frame of reference.
Yeah, I have no frame of reference. Why you would need trillions of operations in 1 second?
Well, what's an operation?
I think that's just like
I think that's any form of binary code being processed.
I think that's any form of anything. But
that means that most computer like things you do on the computer are already gonna take an insane amount of operations.
Yes, but yeah. So I think just the main thing with this new chip is that it not only improves efficiency, but it also improves performance. So typically, like with a chip, you kind of choose one. You're either going to be like super efficient and you're going to conserve battery life and
not get the same graphics.
But the M1 chip does both, where you have way higher battery life as well as like way more processing ability.
Does it actually do both, or is it just like saying it's going to do both?
Well, this is one thing.
Because if it does do both, they could totally branch out into. Because Apple hasn't really branched out into gaming that much. Yeah. But if they can do,
but it's also like
efficient and like
you think about like Cyberpunk with all their like special graphics.
Exactly, that totally flunked because nobody could process it.
Yeah.
If this works like it says it's gonna work, obviously it's not optimized for gaming.
What they were showing like when they were advertising this like about like 5 months ago, they were showing like games running like MacBook Airs.
What type of games?
Obviously
AAA,
very vague. This was like on the Apple commercial, so like it's like not like.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were showing like heavy duty like Photoshop, and like that takes a lot of data as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
So what they said is when they were advertising this chip, especially for the laptops, they said that the CPU, which is like the instruction, the brain, will be 3.5 times faster. It'll have 5 times better graphics, which would allow you to then game or edit like 4K videos or something like that. So like editing our videos in the very complicated maneuver we do. So
and like as simple as it is, I don't think you could figure out how to do it.
Yes, this is true.
You don't even know Ken Burns.
But I don't know the Ken Burns part. I just but then it also says that for the MacBook Air specifically, you get 6 more hours. But one thing in the presentation, for the MacBook Air, and even more for the MacBook Pro.
That's incredible because I get maybe like 30 minutes on this thing.
Well, yours is like ancient.
Mine is very old.
It's saying that you'd get 15 hours of battery life in general, but that's 6 more than its previous design.
And so when I like try to run a bunch of stuff on this, like when I'm
for example, recording a podcast.
Or like when I'm trying to upload this to YouTube or whatever, my computer gets very mad at me very quickly.
It'll get hot.
Yeah,
that seems like I think that's like data storage, and that is like one thing.
I was about to say that's a you problem.
No, I think that's a you problem. No.
That seems like a
my computer's been fine. No, that's probably more data storage, just because our videos specifically take up so much data. But and that's one of the complaints with the chip is that it has the RAM built in. Normally, you can like connect to like a different like RAM storage where you can manually make more storage in the computer. But since the RAM is built in the chip, Apple has so much control over how much storage you will get. You can't like purchase something else to then put into your computer to like
extra RAM. Yeah.
Since the RAM is built in, they're like way upcharging to get more storage because.
I don't know if it was storage though, because what was happening was I was in my school Dungeons and Dragons thing, and I was trying to like have all those tabs open at one time, but then I was also trying to upload it to YouTube because our last video, if you saw it before,
that's storage is just short-term storage because you've got long-term storage and short-term storage. And short-term storage, it needs to remember like what tabs you have open and stuff like that. So if you've got a bunch of tabs open, that's constantly spinning.
Yeah.
Like that's what's making it overheat. I think.
That's probably.
If
I would defer to your computer.
If I were to guess.
Well, the M1 chip apparently claims
The M1 chip.
that you can do it 2 times faster. The one thing though is that when Apple was presenting this, they didn't really compare it to any computer.
Okay.
They were just like, we can do 2 times faster, but like, what is that?
Then what?
I could run 2 times faster than like a little like a turtle or something. Like
I would hope.
I would hope a little better
faster than a turtle.
Also, like, didn't the turtle beat like the
hair.
The rabbit.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that was because they were.
that was
taking
slow and
naps.
steady
Yeah.
take the race.
Yeah.
Or
So
was
I'm saying, like, but what does that mean for the Apple computers?
Well,
Analyze it in context.
so essentially, the Apple
Essentially.
computer is the hair, and the
So it's gonna
competitors
lose.
are the turtle.
So it's gonna lose.
Who it is? Yeah, probably not in this case. I mean, look, I
So
So
sounds like, it sounds like
I was
it's
trying to
metaphor
continue.
flawed.
I really was just trying to continue this joke with the hair and the turtle, but it really makes no sense in
No,
this
it doesn't
context
at
because
all.
Not at all.
Apple is just gonna steamroll this competition with this. I mean, there is no way that like competitors are gonna be able to match this. Like I said, they don't have control over their hardware and their software at the same time. And like you've had a competitor like Samsung rumored to be developing a new chip, but they just simply don't have like the ability to do so without help from Microsoft. And Microsoft like cares about them, but like also like doesn't like really want to go out of the way to like really help Samsung beat
Well,
Apple.
and
'cause
Bill's
it's not-
Bill's a little preoccupied at the moment.
yeah, so
Well,
it's
he's not on the board anymore.
I know.
He stepped
Yeah.
down from. Well, actually, no. He was asked to step down from the board. Apparently, even though they really. That's a whole other story. But I won't go
yeah.
into that right.
We could do a segment on that at some
Yeah.
point later.
It's actually I was talking about this with my family earlier. So basically, they released when he stepped down from the board.
Or we'll do the segment.
That well, I mean, why not? I mean, Chuck, I don't know.
Go for it. I mean, I got more stuff, but go for it.
Basically,
He can't fill 5 minutes.
when he stepped.
I can't bet. Let's do it.
when he
When's
stepped,
the
when he
subject?
stepped, when he stepped down from the board, they released a statement saying that it was for purposes of focusing on philanthropic like activities, like Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation, stuff like that. Apparently, it's because there were sexual assault allegations on him from employees within the company, and she's been
Does that
filing.
have something to do with the divorce?
Yeah, she's been trying to file. She was like gathering lawyers since 2019. So this has been a long time coming. They just only just released it to the press.
Oh, dang. Well,
Also has some stuff to do with Epstein. That's
Yeah, Bill
Oh,
Gates
yeah.
met with
That's the
Jeffrey
second-
Epstein many
that's the
times.
second
oh
result on
wow,
Google.
I know.
yeah.
That. That's crazy.
Well,
Anyways, so like all of this definitely there's tensions between Apple and Intel,
real
which have been
quick,
brewing.
how does the chip that Apple's putting in the computer relate to the chip that Bill Gates put in our bodies with the vaccine?
Are they compatible?
Are they different, similar?
Well, I mean,
Can I link
Did
them by
they
Bluetooth?
link? Can I charge one with the one?
Guys,
Did you see Elon Musk released like in a I don't think it was a press conference, but he has an idea to install a brain chip so that we can listen to music without headphones or something like that.
okay. So
Which
kind
is
of a
cool.
side
Which is-
note. Kind of a side note. Would you guys do that?
No,
I totally
no,
would. I totally would.
I know
totally
you would. I would not.
I would totally would. I don't care. Like they're not gonna hack my brain. I would. That'd be so.
Well, yes,
cool.
they can. That's what a
Yeah, I
brain
know.
chip
I
can
know.
do.
I know. But that'd be so cool.
Whatever, sure, I'd do it.
I'd do it.
I
I
have
think
I have
if enough
sunglasses
people
that
did
can do
it.
that. I don't need a brain.
think
I
I
just
think-
have headphones that can do
Can you
that.
imagine?
No, but
That'd be so
headphones
cool.
can't listen. You can't listen to music without headphones. With headphones.
Yeah, but I don't need to listen to music without headphones.
Well,
But like,
I'm just saying it would be cool.
yeah, it would be cool. I don't know. I think if enough people did it, I'd totally do it. I wouldn't be the first one to do it. I wouldn't be
basically,
the,
Just
basically
a
he's a
follower.
sheep. Basically, he's a
Well,
well,
sheep.
I'd have to like make sure that like other people's brains don't get hacked.
We should make sure like other people think it's
So who's
cool
gonna put
if I do
who's
it.
gonna get hacked first? Like who's gonna like be the first person to like?
I don't know. But
Allow
hopefully,
brain chip
I'm
to
not
put in
going.
them.
Oh yeah. Who would? I mean, they're super
There's
tech
crazy-
guys.
there's
They're
crazy people out there, yeah.
yeah, for sure. Anyways, going back. Apple and Intel have had tensions, but like this has been this will be the end of 14 years of collaboration between the two. This
So
kind of
previously, Apple computers use Intel chips.
yes, that was and basically all computers use Intel chips, but Intel has kind of been on the ropes recently because like AMD, which is also makes like computer chips, recently put out a chip that outperformed Intel's 10th generation chip. And then Apple, when they released the M1, was kind of like the finishing blow where like Intel's not the guy anymore. It's not like not everyone's going to be going through Intel.
Well, I'm sure Apple's competitors won't be able to use Apple's chip.
Yes, exactly.
So will they still?
But the Apple competitors, like they almost like
will have to make their own.
They will continue to make their own, but it's also like they might not try and make a chip that is competitive with the M1 chip. They might just continue what they're doing. They might not change it up
and offer as a cheaper alternative.
Exactly.
Right.
But like, I mean, a lot of companies don't care, right? Because if you look at like other computer companies, the Chromebook line is doing extremely well. And Chromebooks are known for like super speed or whatever, but they're like cheap options that like.
But they have no power, right? They can't.
Yeah, but they're cheap options that schools can use to like purchase for their students or something like that.
And also, Winslow makes a good point. How is this going to affect the price of MacBooks?
It kind of keeps the same price. Obviously, Apple has like the problem. It's not really a problem that for Apple because they're doing pretty well. But they're high end computers, right? They sell. They're expensive, but they still do sell. It's not like a huge problem for them. But they've kind of like come to be like the higher end company that like kind of you buy an Apple computer because like it's Apple, so you're also buying for a name brand. So they've already established that point where like they can sell it high. The price isn't really changing too much because of the chip. It's just that they are known for having high prices. But
well, also it's kind of like once you buy an Apple computer, it's very hard to switch over because you have all your data that can then be transferred to a new computer or a new phone whenever you buy one.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an addiction where you can't, if you have like 2 years worth of data stored on an Apple computer, you're not going to want to switch to Android because you will lose most of that data now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Right. And PC's still doing well. It's not like as of now they're like expected to grow. Their sales are expected to grow 13% for next year, and so they really don't see any
decrease
like
in sales.
Yeah, any problem with this. The only like main problem, which I guess is kind of like the concluding statement, is that like if like these other like these PC companies don't choose to compete with Apple and let Apple control this market of like the high end computers that have pretty good speeds, then like obviously like there needs to be some competition for there to be growth. Or else like Apple will just control all of this and they can do whatever they want. Like they're already trying to control like data by like putting the RAM inside the chip, so you can't buy any outside sources, so they can up the prices of their if you want to upgrade RAM. So like if they get total control over this market, that would probably be a pretty bad thing. So it's kind of tough, but I mean it's great for Apple. Like their M1 chip is successful.
Well, if it's that much better for the consumer, then like
if it's better for the consumer,
they're gonna work on transferring it to phones too.
I don't know. They've done it with the iPad. They put the M1 chip in the iPad, but I don't know about phones. But
cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so you filled time and had things to say for all 15 minutes.
No, but
that's pretty impressive.
And speaking of competition, let's get into some sports.
Oh,
that's fine.
Ben, just because it wasn't you, it did.
So I'm gonna be talking about something that I think is a sport that not everyone agrees with.
I think
it's very difficult. Like very difficult.
I think it's a skill.
I think it's a sport. No, I think it's a sport. It's a sport. It's also.
I think I have a lot of respect
for clarification, we're talking about golf, not cross country.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, I'm sure, were the first thing you would think of when we talk about things that aren't sports.
With Jonah. Anyway, continue.
I'll let that one slide. So I'm gonna start just like because I don't know your level of knowledge of the pro golf scene.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're directly across from me and you don't know anything about golf.
Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth
and Phil Mickelson.
Yeah. So the way that pro golf works is there's this thing called the PGA Tour, and if a golfer is on the PGA Tour, they're essentially a pro golfer.
Right.
And there's tournaments every weekend on the tour.
Oh, so it's not like a seasonal thing.
No,
you
it's
just
really,
go on and on.
Yeah, pretty much. And so one thing that has been created somewhat recently, this is in 2007, is this thing called the FedEx Cup, and it runs for the majority of the year, culminating in the FedEx playoffs in August, and it's essentially you get points based on your performance in these tournaments every weekend.
Right.
And so, for example, PGA Tour, like regular PGA Tour tournaments, if you win, you get 500 points, and then decreasing based on your performance
Right.
after that. And so this has become a really big thing, which is like you have past winners who have included Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, all very big name golfers. And so this has been going on for, as I said, pretty much the whole season, but we're getting close now to that August playoffs. So things are sort of starting to heat up.
Yeah.
And so going back to that like point distribution, there's those regular PGA tournaments which are 500 points. Then there are majors in golf. There are 4 majors a year. So that's the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, the Masters, and the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
So those, and then this other tournament, which is known as the 5th major, but it's not really a major. It's called the Players. They all award 600 points for first place. Then some other World Golf Championships, the Genesis, the Arnold Palmer, and the Memorial Tournament are 550 for first place.
Okay.
And again, it drops off pretty drastically for points after first place.
So essentially, at the end of the season, the winner would be the one with the most points.
Well, no. So there's the playoff in August.
So you need like a certain amount of points.
Okay.
You have to qualify for the
qualified.
playoff, and then it goes to.
And then
a
once
set.
you're in the playoff, it totally like resets.
Yeah.
And everything's named after FedEx.
Yes.
And how many people tend to make the playoffs? Is it difficult to make the playoffs?
Like the
Actually-
NBA where everyone.
No, I think it's actually like a good amount of people.
Okay, so
it's
it really
not
boils down to that one thing. In
Like
August.
yeah, pretty much.
But like the Masters and stuff are more famous, just because they're.
The Masters is a specific tournament.
Yeah,
This is like a season, essentially.
yeah, but the season ends up boiling down to like one thing in August.
Well, it's all of August, so it's multiple tournaments.
Okay, got it.
So right, that's the overview of the FedEx Cup. Now getting into some of like how it's going this season. Currently, although this may have changed since the last time I looked, which was before the PGA Championship this weekend, Bryson DeChambeau was leading with 1,660 points and 8-1 odds to win the playoffs.
Great for him.
Yeah, so since probably none of you know who Bryson DeChambeau is.
Well, no, he's the leader of the PGA.
He is
Tour.
one
That's
thousand
8-1 odds to win the
He's
playoffs.
8-1 odds to play. I know everything about him.
What do you mean I don't know anything about him?
I'm a Bryson
Decentralized.
DeChambeau expert. He's a decentralized form of currency.
He's got to give you a sense of like how hard it is to like be consistently good at golf.
Oh wow, trust me.
I thought it was easy. That's helpful.
He's
I
leading,
thought it was easy and then I broke a TV.
he's leading the FedEx Cup and he has 2 wins this year and 6 top 10 finishes. Like that is it. And there's a tournament every weekend, and he's the guy in the lead.
Impressive.
Well,
And
not
that's-
really.
That's sort of
He only won twice.
Loser.
yes, but the ones he won were the Arnold Palmer and the U.S. Open.
So I
That's-
guess like there's more variability in like a golf who
Yeah.
finishes,
So
who
it's
does well.
not normally distributed.
or it
This
is.
is what you're
I mean,
saying.
N is
I
definitely
didn't-
greater than 30, right?
I mean, I didn't say it's
109
not.
greater than 30.
I didn't say it's not normally distributed, but like it's clear in like other individual sports, there's less. Like the same people win. Like in tennis, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
pretty
3
much.
guys who win
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, you get like on any given weekend, you can have someone different win.
Yeah.
Which, like, I remember recently like some guy, I think it was Stuart Sink is his name, and he like and he never wins except for this one tournament like every year.
Sink.
But he's he's good on the course.
Yeah,
He just comes and balls out for one tournament a
Yeah.
year.
yeah.
Sink.
So going back to my guy Bryson, he's actually.
Oh, so he's your guy now.
He's no. I
He's
love.
his
Have
Bryson.
you been a fan?
No, since
Are you a day one fan?
No, since I've been researching this guy, he is so cool.
Okay.
He's awesome.
He has 1,660 points.
He does.
How many
8 to 1
followers
odds.
does he have on Instagram?
Does that matter?
I saw his
Is
TikTok.
that how you
the other day.
determine his
Yes.
worth?
Yeah.
How cool he is, yes.
So DeChambeau he joined the tour in 2016, which is like not that long ago. He's pretty young.
Well, it's actually exactly 5 years ago.
I mean in golf terms.
Yeah.
Like people
Phil
play
Mickelson's
You
got to be
play a
doing
lot.
it for how long? So long.
long time.
How old?
Well, there's not like
Mickelson's 50 years old.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Okay, I'm sorry. That is enough evidence that it's not a sport. Like,
You can still perform at
if
such a
you-
high level at
that
an
age-
older age.
I don't know.
I disagree.
It's still so difficult. Like it's.
I
It's
think
really difficult.
name one other sport where 50-year-olds are winning stuff.
NASCAR.
No.
No.
I don't know. When do people?
Also, NASCAR, like, I don't know, like,
It might not. Be.
NASCAR is hard.
NASCAR's hard.
Really? That's
Give
Yeah.
Brady a couple more years. 50 years old, won the Super Bowls.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
the
if he
point.
does that, then
Doesn't
football's
make
not a
any
sport.
Then football's just invalidated as a sport.
Right. So DeChambeau graduated from SMU. Shout out Crispy.
Oh!
He graduated from SMU with a degree in physics. So he's like smart. And he's used that knowledge.
So I'm hearing this is Crispy's future.
Yeah, Crispy's gonna join the PGA Tour.
That's-
He's used that knowledge to transform his golf game and like make it very, very different than anyone else's. So he's
How can you calculate like?
So is he kind of like that high jumper?
the Fosbury
Yeah.
flop guy.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
technically,
yeah, sort of.
That's how he transforms.
Like
it.
so, yeah, actually that's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah.
He's completely changed his swing motion to be very unorthodox, and he also does this thing where he has all of his irons at the same length, which is not usually what you have. Usually the higher the iron.
It's got to be something about center of mass and rotational inertia.
It's really not. It's just so he can use the same swing motion for every iron.
Okay.
But every single iron that he owns is the length of a 7-iron.
I didn't know that irons varied in length.
Yeah, usually the longer the iron, so like
The shorter.
if you have a 5-iron, it's going to be longer than a 7-iron.
Mm.
That's just sort of what it is. So anyway, he's completely changed his game, and he's hitting the ball so much further than everyone else.
Huh.
It's ridiculous. And like, granted, he put on like 40 pounds of muscle over quarantine,
Well,
and like
probably.
started
That'll
a
do
whole
it.
new diet.
Yeah.
But like, he's averaging 324.4 yards per drive on the tour this year, and his longest drive is 428 yards this year,
That's insane.
which is ridiculous.
That's insane.
Did you see that one dude almost got a hole in one in a par 4?
I did see that.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
that's
I didn't-
ridiculous. But so like he's been like consistently good all season, and having that drive of that far and the ability to hit the ball that far is just so helpful.
Well, yeah, because you can.
I'm
get
like
so
watching
much-
some of his drives right now. Is there anything specifically? I mean, I don't really know like technique on drives. Is there anything specifically he does different in this or is it more just like?
I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Like there's
it looks very technical. I mean, but I don't know.
I mean, if you ask like a golf expert, he would just like point out 3 or 4 things that he does
Yeah.
very differently than like Rory McIlroy is a guy who has like a textbook drive for like a swing form. So if you compare the two,
He doesn't move forward. He just pivots.
Well, it's one of those things that like a lot of golfers have very similar swings.
Yeah.
pretty much. That's not the case in like baseball.
Yeah.
You know, when people radically different
Yeah.
motions.
But it all usually ends up the same. There's no one baseball swing that's like.
Baseball, it's more like you can
Insanely.
have different like starting stance, but
Yeah, I guess
typically you get to the ball no matter like kind of the same way.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, I guess so.
So anyway, in any case, the reason that I bring up DeChambeau so much is because the PGA Championship was this week. This was Thursday to Sunday, which was yesterday for us. And they played at Kiwa, which and obviously the PGA
I
Championship.
don't. Where's Kiwa?
somewhere.
But don't ask
It's a
those
place.
kinds of questions.
Was. All that I know is that it was the Ocean course, and it is this course specifically is 7,876 yards total, which is the longest course in major history. So theoretically, you would think that would play to DeChambeau's favor, since he drives the
Strong
ball.
young guy.
Was he just bombing him?
So he drives the ball. So he drives the ball so much further than everyone else. Since the course is so long, you would
Right.
think that he would have done well.
I'm gonna guess from where you're going, he didn't.
He tied for 38th.
Oh god, that's horrendous.
He went 3 over, which usually would land him like he wouldn't even have made the cut. But this course was playing so hard this week
Wind? Because of the wind?
So yeah, not
Because
only
if you're
not
by
only,
the ocean, the wind's insane.
yeah. So not only was it so long, the wind was also pretty much directly into the golfers' faces on most holes. So like seven, yeah, essentially. So like the 17th hole was playing notoriously hard. Like DeChambeau on the third day, I think, had 4 birdies on the day, which is like a respectable day. But he bogeyed one and then he double bogeyed the 17th because it was just so. I think somebody put up like a triple bogey there. It was like if you looked at all the scorecards, everyone
everyone took a
across
drop
the board
on the 17th hole.
Yeah. So like for reference, you have people in other tournaments winning with like 20 under over 4 days.
Right.
This tournament was 1 and 6 under over 4 days.
Wow.
That was a cumulative score that won this tournament.
So who won?
This is one of the cooler stories in all of golf this year.
He better not be 50 years old.
I'm very personally excited about it. It was Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson won this tournament, making it his 6th major all time and his 45th victory. He's gonna go down as one of the golf greats.
Compare him to Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer was better.
Well,
I think.
I like his drink.
This is a good comment.
Great contribution.
Yeah. Tough crowd. Jeez.
Yeah. So Mickelson won, which was not expected at all. He's 50 years old. He's been not so great this year on the tour. He entered, and for you sports betting fans,
we don't condone sports
we
betting.
don't
Once again,
we don't
but
condone
we did talk about it a decent amount on
But
this.
what were the odds?
I did
plus 25,000.
I was just trying to look up.
That's like an implied probability of 0, I
Yeah.
think.
I saw. I just looked this up. You can like cash out early, and some guy before Phil Mickelson won.
Were you planning to do that?
I was trying to look it up, but no, I was not planning on doing it.
Because
Some guy
you don't
cashed
condone
out
sports
early.
betting.
He like what? I don't condone it. No.
You know, we talk about sports betting an awful lot for people who don't condone
Yes,
it.
but we don't condone it.
We don't condone it.
We lose money. It's not
We definitely don't.
Yeah.
So some dude bet $20 and he cashed out at like 200 like midway through this, and then if
He
he
would've
let it
had,
go,
yeah.
he would have had like 6,000 or something like that.
Well, 2,500.
25,000 odds.
Oh, so he would have had a lot. I don't really know.
With more than 6,000.
Brain's a little slow this morning.
Calculated.
Can't tell you.
Yeah, so that's like that is the same guy who had to receive an exemption to play in the U.S. Open this year because he wouldn't have qualified.
Oh.
Because it's in San Diego this year, which is his hometown. So they're like
Play.
they were just like you could play because you're a legend, and
Let the kids play.
but like
But he's not a kid. But he's 50 years old.
It's a full man.
That's a grown man.
but like this is the same guy who had to receive that exemption. He just won one of the majors this year.
That's awesome.
So really cool
Phil
story.
Mickelson, good job. If you're watching.
Yeah, and so
Good job, Phil.
he held up
My G.
some really big names in golf right now, like the American Brooks Koepka, South African Louis Oosthuizen.
I'm looking at the name right now. I don't know.
I think I didn't botch it, but I very well could have. And like he still held a 2-stroke lead over them at the end. It was like he decidedly won this tournament. He was leading pretty much the entire time. So
Awesome.
yeah, no, it was
Congratulations.
really, really exciting
Phil.
stuff.
Phil Mickelson, shout out.
If you're watching this,
If that's
Phil Mickelson,
valuable to you,
I have a lot of respect for you.
everyone go check out Phil Mickelson. He's a pretty cool guy.
Speaking of the PGA circuit,
Oh my god.
that was not bad at all. I was actually pretty good, honestly.
How long did it take you to come up with it?
I thought about it a minute ago, and I was like, all right, when can I say this?
How long
What I
did you
will
even
say
think
is
of
that when during the end of all the segments, I start to try to think.
I do too. Well, you've been slacking off recently. These two beat
I know.
you in
I've
the
lost.
punch.
I know.
Anyway, so I'm going to be talking about a company that I saw on Insider a couple days ago called Mint, which is a startup in New Zealand, which, as Chuck graciously introduced with his great transition, works with old circuit boards, because I don't know if you guys know this, a lot of circuit boards use like precious metals like gold, palladium, tin, copper.
Very expensive.
Palladium's what killed Iron Man, almost.
Oh, another.
Is it actually? Another Iron Man reference.
Yeah, at least
Marvel guy.
Remember, you ever watch Iron Man 2?
Oh,
wait,
I know what
wait,
you're talking about.
I didn't realize that was palladium.
Yep.
Anyway, usually the process to remove these, because this isn't like a new thing. The knowledge that there's precious metals in these circuit boards is not a new thing. But the problem is the usual process to get them involves burning it, and that is very harmful to the environment, very harmful to the people that are doing it, and oftentimes does not give off great results.
Right.
So the way that Mint is doing it, I'll explain in a second, but they're hoping that it will encourage, because it's very cost efficient and also helps out a lot, they're hoping it's going to motivate governments to, at the local level, start funding it for like environmental purposes and stuff like that. So the actual way it works is what they do is they take like a metric ton of circuit boards and they grind it up into like sand consistency, and then they mix. The great thing about it is it's a very inexpensive process. They mix it with standard industrial chemicals, and that kind of forms like a paste.
Okay.
And then what they do is they pump this mixture into a press that separates the solids and the liquids. The only problem with this is some of the the precious metals are in the liquids and some of it are in the solids. So for example, tin and copper are in the liquids. So how they get that out is they take a giant metal sheet and they run a current through it, and that creates a magnet. And then they just run the metal sheet. It's got like little hexagons in it because for some reason hexagons are always like the sign of high advanced technology. But they run it. Okay, never mind.
Whatever.
But they run the metal sheet through the water and it collects all the tin and copper and stuff like that. The only problem is the gold and palladium is still in the paste.
Right.
So Iron Man is still not good.
Iron Man has still not been saved.
We need to save Iron Man, guys.
So basically what they do is for several years, I think it was in 2017, they started looking at old gold mines to try and find a way to remove the gold and palladium. And they started to find microorganisms that actually bond to gold and palladium. And so what they do is they enter the paste into another chemical batch with these microorganisms in it. And the microorganisms attach to all the different like gold and palladium ions and basically make them get heavier and heavier as they bond together. And then I'm a little bit confused how this actually works. But the gold turns purple. Like you'll know that you have gold if the mixture, the paste turns purple. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's something with oxidation. But then they burn. I know I said burning is bad earlier. But then they burn the microbes off, and they're left with just gold and palladium powder, which is great.
Don't you still have a purple paste?
No, they burn the paste. The paste is basically the microorganisms and the gold and iron, or not iron, palladium. The paste, the paste also gets burned off.
Okay.
And so basically, this is so efficient that from one metric ton of circuit boards, they're able to produce 150 grams of gold.
And what percent of do they have an estimate of how much is actually in there?
What do you mean?
Like how many grams of gold, palladium, whatever, is actually in that metric ton of circuit boards?
I think the process is so efficient that they only lose out on maybe 1 or 2 grams.
Oh, wow.
So it's and compared to normal mining purposes, gold mining is an industry that's over time gradually been harder and harder to actually collect gold. From 1 ton of rocks, you get maybe 3, 4, or 5 grams. So this is a much more efficient and faster way to recycle and then find gold.
What do they use the reused gold for?
They sell.
So okay.
They sell. I mean that's the only way that they can actually make profit. The company itself can make profit.
These circuit boards are ones that would go to waste otherwise. If they
they're just landfill. So it helps reduce e-waste by a ton, and hopefully their goal is by 2025 is to reduce 110 million tons of electronic waste a year, which would be extremely helpful for reducing the amount of waste in landfills, given how much is there, especially because a lot of that waste ends up in developing countries, and then those are the people who try and burn it to get the gold out, and that actually leads to a lot of toxic fumes coming off and killing a lot of the people who are trying to do that. It reduces their lifespan by maybe 50%. It's insane. So if we do it, even if we found a way besides the way that they're doing it at Mint to do it more efficiently, it would still need to go to a smelter, which would release those toxic fumes, and you would lose a lot of the gold within. And they're hoping that soon. Right now, they only have a few small plants in New Zealand itself, but they're hoping to launch a bunch of bigger ones, hopefully in Australia and New Zealand, to the point where every major city has one, and they can start processing much more electronic waste. So that hopefully at some point they'll be eliminating at least 1% of Australia's electronic waste a year, which would, I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but given how much we waste, it would be extremely helpful.
So have they patented this process?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have.
So we're not going to see a bunch of companies start doing this.
No, this is Mint's baby, basically.
And this is recently they developed
this. This is a very well. So the company I think started in 2018 after they actually did research and found the microorganisms that bond to gold and palladium. So it's a fairly recent development, and it's hopefully going to cut down on pollution costs of mining this gold, or not mining, I guess, retrieving this gold from circuit boards. The only problem is it's kind of a dying business because companies are now finding ways to use less and less precious metals in their electronics, which means that Mint is not going to be able to produce enough gold per however much electronic waste they produce to keep themselves going. Right. And eventually it's going to be a dying business that will unfortunately probably go bankrupt and will still have the electronic waste problem.
How much gold and whatever precious metals are in these chips? Because I remember hearing that at least Apple developing these circuit boards or different companies, they develop them very cheap.
No, they do. There's not much, but the thing is there's such a high volume of electronic waste that you can get a ton out from it.
Yeah.
I mean, there really isn't much, and it's decreasing every year with how much they use because they want it to be cheap as they can. But there's still, if you compile 1,000 different circuit boards, there's still a decent amount of gold to be had in there. And then everything else that can be recycled from the circuit boards gets recycled. So.
Right. So you have the tin and copper in the liquid.
Yeah.
And the liquid is what exactly?
It's just basically they put the original paste where they had whatever the industrial chemicals are mixed with the circuit board sand stuff into a press, and then I don't know what the actual liquid is. I think it's just some form of water with some chemicals in it. They don't actually release what chemicals they use, but apparently they're very standard and very cheap to obtain. So I think the solution that the copper and tin are in is probably just water mixed with a few chemicals. It's a blue solution. That in the video, that's what I saw, but I don't actually know the contents of it.
And so once they extract all these metals, what happens with the rest of the circuit board materials?
Well, hopefully a lot of it has been burned off because you've got the paste that has the palladium and gold in it, right? Mm-hmm. And then they burned off the microorganisms, but a lot of it has actually turned into, even if it doesn't get consumed from the burning, it's now sand.
Okay.
So it doesn't take up any space. It can basically just be kind of dumped off, I guess.
And the burning,
recycled.
The burning still isn't great for the environment.
Burning still isn't great for the environment, but because it's not actually burning, you're more focusing on burning the microorganisms than the actual circuit boards themselves. It's not as polluting, I guess. What?
No, nothing.
Why are you smiling?
No, don't worry about it.
Ben was clicking stop and start on the timer.
But yeah, they hope that even if this is a dying business, that at least for 20 or 30 years they can help make a dent in at least Australia and New Zealand's pollution.
Is it
and make money?
And
so is it we're this righteous group?
Yeah,
we want to.
Well, obviously, it's
or is
both.
it there's a bunch of cool precious metal in here that we can sell.
Yeah.
For.
No, it's definitely
better.
both, but I also think they are environmentally conscious, or else they wouldn't have gone to such lengths to secure a process that's so environmentally
I guess they wouldn't have started the research.
Because it's still expensive to go through, collect these microorganisms, use the presses that they need to for the paste, and actually extract stuff. Whereas they could probably do it automated. They could probably still burn the things, but in an automated fashion where no one actually inhales the fumes.
Right.
Because in developing countries, you have people just burning it in like an open expanse. So
Like
those
that's also good if companies can make money from doing things that are environmentally.
Exactly.
No,
It's great. It's amazing, and it only takes like they have something at their smaller plant. They have something like 4 or 5 employees. They're like it's almost completely automated, which is great.
No, I think that like we were just talking about the F1.
The M1?
F-150 or
The
Ford F1,
yeah.
Like businesses, like consumers are going to want to buy products that are more and more environmentally friendly, as some consumers are.
Well, in this case, I don't think people really care where gold comes from. I mean,
Yeah.
gold is a nasty business. It always has been.
Yes, it has been.
And
Yeah, no, I think more and more companies. I mean, Tesla's success as well, but hopefully more.
Hopefully, I just hope that it's able to sustain itself for a while, even if companies start using cheaper and cheaper materials.
Yeah, I'm
So
curious
it's a
how
really
much.
cool start.
I'm curious, like since this is new, I guess they haven't been making so much profit. They're probably still in net negative, I guess.
I actually don't know.
Should go on Shark Tank.
But I
They
don't know. I'm
should.
just curious how that works out for them.
I just recently watched the whole Spike Ball Shark Tank.
It's a cool. It's a cool.
Did they
Shark
get?
Tank.
They did
Yeah,
get-
they
they
did.
did.
From Damon.
Yeah.
That's a cool video.
Yes.
All right. Anyone got any drink?
I don't have a
I
transition.
have nothing.
I don't have a transition.
Speaking of environmentally friendly policies, hopefully these next guys have some.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That is a good one. Actually.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
I think we go with that. All right.
All right, so say it. We have to go with it.
Speaking of environmentally friendly
Said it.
policies,
What?
hopefully these next candidates have some.
Okay, so the New York City mayoral race is happening soon. The mayoral. I said that. That's the word. So mayor.
No, I got
In
it.
reference to
It's a
mayor
funny
to
word.
mayoral.
It's just a funny word.
Okay, so the mayoral race is happening, and the Democratic primary is on June 22nd, which is all that matters for the mayor race in New York
My
because
dad's
whoever.
birthday.
Really?
Happy birthday to Jonah's dad.
Happy birthday.
Drop in the comments.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy birthday.
Like a month from now.
But just remember to come back to this video on June 22nd to say.
If
happy
we can
birthday.
get 10,000 likes, we'll get him a great birthday present.
Or
You're gonna get my father.
Did we get 15 likes on the last one? We have to push him into
Definitely didn't.
we
I don't
didn't
even know if we got.
don't even
got
know if we got
one.
views, bro.
I'll look
I
it
don't
up.
think anyone liked it.
Or
That's-
no one watched it to have an opinion on whether they liked it or not.
Anyways, the big thing that New York City is doing differently this time is ranked choice voting. So instead of picking one candidate, you put them in order of how much you
That's
would want
big.
them. So you go, one candidate, another.
I know a lot of people
Oh, so
want
then
that
you
to be
get
future voting.
Yeah.
combined votes from like whatever rank you are for everyone.
No.
So yeah, how does that add up?
Yeah, exactly. So I was confused about this too. The answer is unnecessarily complicated. So they do the election. If anybody got 50% of first place votes, you've won. Then it's over. Hello, dog. Then
Continue.
after that, if no one gets 50%, which is extremely likely because it's very rare in an election of 6 or 7 people that anyone would get half the votes, then the person who's in last place is eliminated, and then all of those ballots who voted in last place.
Sounds like a totally messed
It's
up.
ridiculous. So you eliminate the last place person. Whoever those ballots put in second place, those then count as votes
Got it.
for the first place votes. You continue that process until somebody has half the votes.
Why wouldn't they just give like points based on
Yeah,
how many
That
You
is
might-
so
You might say
unnecessarily.
that would make way more sense, and you would be right that would make
It'd
more
take
sense.
less time.
Because this is complicated. I don't even know.
I'm glad that me, like a 17-year-old kid,
Can figure
design
this
a vote
out.
system in half a minute.
Yeah. I think the real reason is that until people's preferred candidate is eliminated, they should, ideally, those people would still be voting, or their ballot still counts towards their preferred candidate. Which is, I guess, the justification why, but I'm not sure.
And
What that matters.
why do people want this to be like the because I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, oh, ranked voting is like
It's
the way
better.
to go. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. The big answer, there's a lot of answers why. One of them is that, like, let's.
I'm just so distracted.
There's a dog here.
We got a guest.
We have a guest, it's a dog.
Can it come up here?
Dash, come here.
Our
Dash.
first actual guest on the podcast, and it's Winslow's dog.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
So, one of the big reasons is that
Look like a Bond villain.
Back to the mayoral race.
So so you can't win. Just like, let's say you have an election of 6 people. Someone gets like 27% of the vote and wins. Like, that's kind of silly.
Yeah, I agree.
So ideally, you're trying to eliminate that problem, which is very common in primaries with large amount of candidates.
Right.
Especially, it's in like the presidential primaries, like you do it state by state, so people drop out as you go.
Mm-hmm.
In a New York City primary, it's one day.
Yeah.
So all those people, you either like the people win with like a quarter of the votes, which doesn't make a lot of sense. The other reason is that people who are like candidates who are very objectionable to a majority of the population, but are really liked by like a 30 or 40%, will struggle to win, even though they would win under the traditional plurality system,
which is probably better.
Which is probably better. You also cause a shift for that reason. You cause a shift away from more radical politicians and towards people who are more acceptable to more people.
So it kind of lessens the strength of political factions, basically.
Yes. It also, though, that also in the eyes of many people is a bad thing, because there's no real possibility that any politician like who's decisively against the current way that things are governed can ever win.
Yeah.
So, for example, like in the Democratic primary, like Bernie coming close to winning these past 2 times wouldn't happen if you had a ranked choice system, because there's a lot of people who find
his
policies bad, and there's also a lot of people who like him. So it's depending on your political affiliations, either a good thing or a bad thing.
Right. Okay.
That makes sense.
But in the aggregate sense, it's probably good.
We should get Jeff on here to talk about this.
Oh, Jeff. Yeah.
I don't know who Jeff is.
So.
Jeff, you did go to the Yankee game. Forgot about that. Jeff was watching the podcast. You wanted me to send it to him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Did he actually?
Yeah.
Shout out Jeff.
Shout out Jeff.
Shout out Jeff. I don't know who you are, Jeff, but
Political strategist, right?
yeah. In general, I think political scientists support ranked choice voting.
Mm.
I mean,
And
that makes sense.
right now, only Maine has it, and Alaska is doing a pilot program with it to see what will happen. The other thing is
Alaska.
that
Like, we just said Alaska this
Yeah.
doing it? How many people live in Alaska?
enough that they have elections.
Yeah.
They do split calendar.
It's like,
There's
they're
real
still a state. I'm not trying to like any Alaskans
If
out
we're,
there.
if we're
we love
doing this from Alaska, I don't know how it got to you.
No, we
but
love you. We love our Alaskan viewers.
Yeah, we love our Alaskan viewers.
Yeah.
So
Anyways.
what was I up to? Oh yeah, okay, I already explained all that.
Yep.
So in the primaries, there's a couple candidates who have a chance of winning, so I'll go through them, talk about them. The biggest name one is definitely Andrew Yang.
Yeah,
Gang.
Dude, his TikToks are fire.
So, like, when he first said he was running, I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll look into this. But his campaign has been one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. It's so horrible. Like, there's that video of him going into the bodega where he's like, hey guys, it's just so awkward. And then just the things he does in the street. I don't know if you saw like the TikTok of him playing basketball.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, what was going on there?
He like plays on the courts, like on the streets and stuff.
Yeah.
He just loves to like be involved.
He's like, oh, I'm just a New Yorker.
Yeah, I'm just
like,
a regular
like,
New
I'm a
Yorker
regular
guy. Look at all I do.
He's
I go
trying
get
too hard
bagels
to,
and I
like,
go
be like the people's candidate.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard to be normal that he's ended up really not normal.
So just let
And
the
it's,
man
like,
play
creepy.
basketball, guys.
Yeah. No, yes, let the man play
one time
basketball.
on 420, did you see his tweet on 420? I think I sent it.
Yeah.
He like posted this tweet with him with a bunch of like weed in the back here. He's like, 420 guys.
Yeah.
Like,
He did do
dude,
that.
you're a politician.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things like that where it's just like what's going on. He also knows very little things. So this was
Isn't
really
it like his
shocking
whole
to
thing
me.
like math?
Oh
like
my
I know.
His whole thing
It's
is
really
math
good to
and
know
stuff.
stuff.
Regarding New York policy, he just shows some like really like embarrassing gaps of knowledge. For example, in the debate, he goes in this whole rant about this program he wants to like pilot to stop domestic violence, which sounded all well and good. Another candidate quickly pointed out that like New York has had this for decades. And then he gets up there, someone asks him a question about like a police reform bill, and he like says that he supports it, but then they ask him what it is and he doesn't know. And then just like a variety of things like that have been very embarrassing for the Yang Gang.
But he's still how's he doing in?
So he's in the lead in terms of first place votes. So more people have Yang as their first candidate than anyone else.
He kind of sounds a little bit like Boris Johnson.
He's a lot like Boris Johnson.
Is he like?
He's a
But
liberal
he's
Boris
more
Johnson.
central, right? If
Yeah.
in the grand scheme, if you're like comparing like.
Boris Johnson?
No, Yang.
Yeah, no, Yang's to the
A
Yang.
little more to the left.
Yang's more. He's to the left of his number one the person who's likely to win.
I could totally see him doing the same thing. You've seen the video of Boris Johnson on the zip line holding like 2 British flags with a helmet on.
No.
I could totally see Andrew Yang.
Well, the thing about Boris Johnson is that like Boris Johnson pulls it off because
Yeah,
he's
he
actually
does.
hilarious,
He's
and
so
he actually
funny.
is normal.
There was a great John Oliver segment on this, like how he acts like such a buffoon that he can actually pull off so many things.
Totally, yeah.
Like, is it actually kind of like just an act so that he can like
I think it has
get
to
to the heart of?
It has to be.
Yeah.
The video of when like all the reporters come out and he brings them all tea.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny.
The
A brand new
video of like,
passed away.
there's a video of like someone asking what he had for dinner last night,
Oh yeah.
and he like fully answered it. It was like very normal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also the video of him being like, I'm gonna go to the pub tonight now that it's open.
Yeah.
It's funny. The thing with Yang though, a lot of it is just has so much name recognition from the presidential campaign.
right.
Everyone knows who he is.
Right.
No one knows who these other people are.
Yeah.
So who are the other people?
Well, we'll get there in 1 second.
Oh, that's such a good transition.
He also has said he wants to try the UBI in New York City, where like everyone,
The what?
New York City residents, like the universal basic income. What he was talking about in the presidential campaign.
Just in New York City.
Just in New York. So every New Yorker gets $1,000.
That'd be kind of tough, right?
I don't know how they're gonna afford
You're
that.
just because they live in Connecticut. So I gotta move.
You gotta move to New York, yeah. Well, only I'll get it because you're not New York City resident.
Oh, is it only New York City?
Yeah. $1,000 a month. Not sure how he's gonna pay for it, but he says he will. But yeah,
It just won't work.
the guy who's likely, I would say, the front runner now is Eric Adams. He's the current borough president of Brooklyn. He would be the second African American mayor of New York City. He was a former police officer.
Look at your notes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So what like on the left to right spectrum? Where is he?
He's interesting because it varies a lot in terms of like crime. Very
Right.
conservative, very
Right,
tough on
yeah,
crime.
well, that
He's
makes
a police
sense.
officer,
Yeah.
which I think is popular now because of how crime rates have gone up in New York City. So that's like playing to his strengths.
Right.
Liberal and other things. So it really just depends on any given issue.
And when this went like months ago, before Yang's whole campaign, was Yang the clear, definite winner? And since he's gone down,
No. Yang has actually been steadily. I think he's been increasing, but it hasn't changed all that much.
Okay.
So fun fact about Eric Adams is that he was like during when Rudy Giuliani was mayor of New York, he went crazy far to the right and became like a very conservative Republican, and then he sort of
Watch
changed
Borat, too.
his views.
Oh, Eric Adams.
Eric
did?
Adams.
Oh wow. Okay.
And he's just became like he has no consistent set of political views at any
So he's
point
just a
across his
sheep.
life. You could either say he's a
He's,
sheep or he's a
Aaron Burr.
Take one to no one.
Aaron Burr.
either that or he actually just like
Topless
changes his
mom.
mind about stuff.
What?
Either that or he changes his mind about stuff.
It seems like he's more of just a sheep.
Yeah, I mean he
He
really
does
does.
it.
Oh, I can win. Like
Who knows?
kind of
Sounds
say I'm a Democrat.
The whole talk less, smile
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Well,
with
Aaron Burr changed his party. To
Yeah.
Well, I think in
Yeah.
Brooklyn people liked him as the borough president. So
Right.
whatever that means, I don't know. The other candidate in third place is Catherine Garcia. She was in charge of the sanitation department, which at least in my mind, probably like New York's not that clean.
she kind of failed her job, didn't she?
Yeah, like,
Oh my god, that's so
things
funny.
could be better.
No. Why is she in third?
Why is she in third? So she has 11%. She's got the New York Times endorsement. She's pretty far to the left.
Yeah.
She's like decisively to the left of Adams. Sorry,
Yeah.
of Adams and Yang. Other people, there's Maya Wiley, who was an advisor to Bill de Blasio, who was a disaster as mayor. So again, I'm not sure why she's popular. She was an MSNBC anchor, which apparently makes her qualified to run a city.
Naturally.
Of course.
And then was also a civil rights attorney at one point, which I guess actually does.
Well, that
matter.
actually
Yeah,
does
I mean,
qualify.
So, but she did really well at the debate, which I guess because she's been on TV, so she knows how to like.
Is that she's an attorney?
And she's also an attorney.
No, but it was like the way they did the debate was virtual, but it was literally just like a Zoom call. So it was just her face. She's talking to a camera.
Yeah.
Something I guess she did in her career. The other guy that was going to win at one point is this guy named Scott Stringer. He was formerly, or he is now, I think, or was before, the city comptroller.
What is it?
The city what?
Comptroller.
What is it?
What does that mean?
Who knows?
But it's
Ben
very
writes in his
important.
notes next to comptroller. Who knows what it is?
It's actually a very important position. Like, it is one of the higher positions.
Well, but what is it?
I'm
Just very important.
an
You look it
official who examines and supervises expenditures, but like,
Financial guy.
That
Yeah.
based on blockchain design.
Yeah, so he was near the top. Now he's literally he's like totally done in his campaign because he's some very serious sexual misconduct allegations,
Well.
which will do it to a politician.
Yes.
That will do it.
Yep.
So right now he's still running for some reason. He's like no support, but he's like because he was so high in the polls at one
Because he was
point.
the comptroller.
Because he was the comptroller. He gets invited to all the debates and stuff, but no one's going to vote for him, which is for the best because he's a terrible person. So yeah, when the debate did happen, it was virtual. They're going to do another one, which hopefully will be in person, but might not be. I'm not sure why they wouldn't do it in person.
yeah.
Because all the candidates are obviously vaccinated.
Yeah.
So the thing is though, as the ranked choice voting happens, it's unlikely anyone besides Yang or Adams would win.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who are least objectionable and the most moderate.
Right.
So we'll see what happens there. So yeah, that's basically
Cool.
Should be interesting.
Yeah.
it. Interesting.
When's actual vote?
June 22nd.
Got it.
Which is a conversation that we had.
We already had this June 22nd.
You know what else on June 22nd?
Jonah's dad's birthday.
Yeah, are you gonna give him a present?
Yeah, go get him. We get to
Alright.
end this.
Alright.
Well,
Should do it.
I think that'll about wrap things up
No.
for Steezcast episode 4.
Woo.
They're definitely better than episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know we promised a deep episode.
And so now we're doing a
coming next.
30-minute conversation on Kanye West.
Alright, let's buckle down. Alright.
So, well, I think
You
we'll
guys
try and
liked
do
it so
the ne-
much.
Actually, the next one is our deep one.
Or something.
Yeah.
We also want to do a rewatchable one.
Well, we have a couple
Maybe.
in the works. One is a rewatchables episode, which is based on a podcast that we found from The Ringer. And
No,
another
we
is
thought of it ourselves.
Yeah.
Shh.
But yeah, so look forward to those coming soon.
Soon.
Hopefully.
soon.
Yeah.
I think this last
Depending
week.
on if we get our act together.
Yeah.
We always say
We'll-
soon.
We'll get our act.
So last week we gotta grind the last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.